Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you're get notified when we got videos coming up, and hit the like button, comment, you know, all the normal stuff. I've been asked by a few people, including Fish Snatcher. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Fish Snatcher's YouTube channel, but real cool guy, great content. I love him. A couple other subscribers have asked for a video on how to change a fishing guide. So to be honest with you, I do not have a broken guide, but before you guys, I'm gonna rip a guide off one of my poles just to show you how to replace a guide. So this guide is in good shape, so we're gonna just put it right back on. But that's what we're gonna do in this video. So shout out to Fish Snatcher, Georgia Fisherman. These guys are some of the ones that I've asked for, and I'll be fast forwarding some things. So you got epoxy on your threads. It looks like this has got a gold trim band and black thread on a reddish metallic blank. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna heat up this epoxy and unravel this thing. So I'll probably fast forward some of this. I got this little heater here. I'm gonna try this heater. If not, I will use my alcohol torch. You do not want to put the flame on it. You just want to heat up the epoxy, and then you just cut it, but do not cut into your blank. So I'm fast forward this, but I'm gonna heat this up, get it hot so that it gets soft and easier to work with. All right, it seems to be pretty warm. I'm gonna cut across this thing, and I do not want to nick the blank. So I'm just gonna put very little pressure on, and I'm gonna come across. And then we'll try to lift up those threads. I didn't go through all the threads right here. We'll give it a little pressure. We do not want to nick the blank. Just a little pressure is all you need. And if you get good at this, you can save your, I saved the trim band on this one by taking my time and taking it off. I don't even have to change this trim band. So you'll yank your guide off. I'll take the glue off that so we can act like it's a new guide here. So we took the guide off. We got the new guide. We want to put that on now. So there's several ways you can do it. I've got this glue here. You heat it up the guide foot with the torch, and then you put it in the glue, and then boom, you stick it down. But a lot of people don't have that stuff. So another option is cut a little strip of tape. Now this tape is about 1/4 of an inch. Well, you can get a regular standard roll of tape and cut it down, you know, cut it lengthwise to make this piece of tape. And then you're gonna want to make sure that your guide is even with the other guide so that it's straight up and down. So I'll glue this or tape this down quick, and then I'll take this thing and I'll look down it to make sure that they look straight. Yeah, it looks good to me. Put some tape on that. We'll hold her down. and then we'll wrap this thing. I don't have no black thread, but that was black thread that was on it. So what we're gonna do is, I could take this all apart and put the black roll on it, but we don't have black thread on our spool. So, well, let's say you don't. Let's do it without my wrapping machine. I'm gonna do it by hand with the black thread. As long as you keep tension on it, you should be okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tape our little end of the black tape here. And I'm gonna do this by hand. I'm gonna hold the thread in my hand just like if I didn't have a wrapping machine. Like, you know, I mean, I've got rod building equipment, but a lot of people don't have that. So we'll just wrap this around here. And then once you get to that gold band, what we're gonna do is we're gonna overlap. Now we just went over the top of ourselves. So we'll do that for a few turns. I like to do 4 or 5. Now, keep tension on here. Don't ever let go of the tension that's on this. We're gonna pop that tape. We're gonna spin this. Now we're gonna cut that out of our way. Just use a pair of scissors. I don't even know where my scissors went. All right, here we go. Just use a pair of scissors, cut that off. I don't want to let go with this hand because I'm holding tension on it. If I let go, it's going to spin. Boom, we cut that off. And I'm just holding the spool in my hand because I'm doing this just like, I mean, with my rod wrapping equipment, it automatically keeps tension on there for you. So I'm doing this just like somebody that didn't have equipment would do it. So now, you just thread it up. Getting over the guide foot is tricky sometimes. So what I like to do is once I get to the guide foot, I'll make a big gap, then I'll do 3 or 4 turns, and then I'll slowly push those back down onto the blank. See, now I just touched the guide foot. Now this one I'm going to come up and leave a gap there, and then I'll put a couple more up there, and then once I get it to about 3 or 4 turns here, then I'm just going to keep pulling down on the blank. See how it's flexing? And then I'm going to slide these over. I don't like the way that looks. Let's do it again. Okay, so now I slide those over. It's hard when you're doing it by hand, but it can be done. There we go. See, it's nice and clean on there. What we're gonna do is keep wrapping. You want to keep as tight as you can, but you don't want too much tension when you're getting ready to do your tie off. And I'll show you guys that here in a second. We're gonna get on this guide foot pretty good before we release our tape. And I think we're up there good now. So what we'll do is we'll keep tension on it. See how the rod's flexing? I want to keep that tight at all times. Then we're going to release this tape. The tape's out of our way. Now we're just going to spin this up. We're going to get to about 1/4 of an inch, and then we're going to put a tie-off string in there. And I'll show you that process here in a second. Let's just get up to where we got to be. I think in the right about in here ought to do it. So what we'll do is we're going to bring this down here, and we're going to put a piece of tape to hold this so we can work for a second. I'm just going to put a piece of tape right here. Hold that thing tight. Make sure your tape's on there good. And then all I got is a piece of string with a knot in the end of it. You want a loop. So you put your loop like this underneath there. You want your loop on the side that you're wrapping to, on the side of your guide. Then I'll just put a little piece of tape over here to hold this out of the way so it don't get tangled up in our wrap. So now that we got that again, we're gonna get back a hold of our rod, spin right over the top of that loop. Get it to where you see this thing goes at a 45 like this. You want to be right at where it starts to go up. You do not want to start going up that 45. So I'm right, I think one more turn. Okay, I'm right where I want to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my finger here and hold this so I can let go of the tension and it won't unravel. So now I got the tension released. We'll cut it. Now I'm still holding it with this finger. Send that back down through the loop. Now I'm going to pull tension on this piece so I can let go with that hand. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our finger through that knot. That's why we put it there. And then we're going to pull this tight. So now it's tight. I can let go with this hand and pull it straight through there. So now it's through there nice. And then what we'll do here is we'll just cut this off with the razor blade as tight as you can without nicking the other threads. And there's your guide is repaired. So now that we got the guide repaired, we're gonna now you just mix up some epoxy. You get some 2-part epoxy. This is part A and this is the hardener part B. Mix it up, 50-50 ratio. You could do droplets. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops, and then 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drops. Mix it up real good, and then just go around it with the brush to just put the epoxy on it. You can use, I imagine you could use any different 2-part epoxy, but these got ultraviolet protection in them, and you would just put that on there, and you want to put it on real thin, because if you put it on too thick, it'll drip down. We have rod dryers that are constantly turning in a circle so that the rod is going like this at all times, and we leave it in that rod dryer for 24 hours spinning so it can never go to the bottom and make a drip. But to do it yourself at home, you get a little paintbrush, use a little medicine cup, mix up a little epoxy, put it on there real thin, let it dry overnight. And then I would put one more coat on it because you're going to want it to get a nice coat on there. So let me show you this thing. Just wrap the threads around her. But when you put your epoxy on there, it's going to look like this. You can see this rod's been through the ringer. And see how the epoxy, you want the epoxy to go over the end like that. When it's dripping out like that, you know it's in the guide, underneath all that guide foot good. You don't want no gaps in there. So you just throw some epoxy on that. You can really use any 2-part epoxy and let it dry. But like I said, put it on real thin or it will drip to the bottom. So let me point to it here. See, I saved the gold band. I didn't even take it off and have to put a new one on. If you're good at it, you know, you do it slow and take your time, you can save it. And there you go. How to change a guide. Fish Snatcher asked for this video. He's got a bunch of rods that are broke. I hope this helps, brother. And I'll see you guys in the next video.